Unclean Hands 2 by Aubrey Boyd. Dedication. To my ever-growing family, both immediate, Deidre, Aubrey Jr., Diamond, India, Jontu, Julian, and grandchildren, and extended. I am never afraid to try new things, and neither should you. I will ensure the Boyd family continues to be respected, and I will always try to lead by example. I love you all. Acknowledgements. Cover design by Tiziana De Rosa. Artwork by Brandy Antonio. Edited by Linda Tyler, Deidre Boyd, and Amber Williams. Prologue. After years of relative peace in the community, a new drug organization comes to town. The once small town of just 100,000 people grew into a mid-sized city of over 500,000 people in just 15 years. Unclean Hands 2 is about two new drug organizations using their political influence and fear tactics to destroy the growing community. Thomas Williams will once again try to expose the truth and stop the spread of drugs. Chapter 1. The Illicit Rendezvous. Robin Antonio Park is located on the outskirts of town. However, its beautiful landscape makes it immensely popular among teenagers for intimate rendezvous. It was quiet, serene, and everything someone would ever need to escape the prying eyes and noise of the streets for a calming and relaxing experience. In the heart of this tranquil park, a dense grove of lavender and dogwood trees created a picturesque haven of scent and shade. Blades of grass flowed with freedom, and even the moonlight from between the trees gave it a calmingly otherworldly vibe. The misty moonlit night illuminated the park in a manner that seemed like it was hiding something. Under normal circumstances, the park was a serene escape from the hustle and bustle. However, on this moonlit night, it was anything but ordinary circumstances. It was so far from the center of town that nobody went there as a part of their daily routine. It was a place where the park would be occupied by people performing their morning exercises or daily walks during the daytime, and the underside of town would use the location for shady dealings at sunset in its grove. It was a good place for an illegal deal, especially if there was a need to show force, the lethal kind of force. That is why this place was called The Cut as well. The sound of the car came well before its headlights shone on the bushes, disturbing the peaceful atmosphere. When the car stopped and the doors opened, out came two men of Mexican descent, their faces clearly visible under the park's parking lot lights. It was clear that these men were not here to spend a few hours talking on the benches or walking along the flower trails. They were not here for the lakeside or the rushing water stream. These men were here for shady dealings, and it was a sight when two men stood amidst the lavender, their breath visible in the crisp air as they cast furtive glances around the park. They seemed calm, but in a way that someone would be trying to blend in, even though there was not any crowd to blend into. They were looking around for someone, or something. As they got out, their weapons, very clearly visible and on display, glinted in the moonlight. They were not hiding the fact that they were well equipped. They did not need to, not today and not for what was coming. No words were spoken between them because they needed to stay alert, not just for the expected company, but for uninvited guests as well. Another pair of car headlights emerged in the park and darted towards the two men. In any other circumstance, they would be blinded by the headlights. However, this time they knew exactly where to look. The approaching car's headlights flashed. They could instantly recognize the make and model of the vehicle slowly advancing towards their own, a classic 1969 Chevy Camaro. The vehicle came to a stop and the beam of the headlights dimmed until they closed. Two men got out, black, but that was not what the two Mexican men noticed. Rather, the black men that emerged were wearing bulletproof vests to show that they came prepared. However, not in a clever way, for the deal that they had to make that evening. The Mexican men thought, sure, the black men would bring some firepower, but bulletproof protection was overkill. Something didn't feel right. You did not need bulletproof protection unless you were planning for a robbery. The bulletproof vests the black men were wearing looked heavy, and they were slim men, causing them to look awkward. The Mexicans both went to the back of their car and opened the trunk, bringing out a tote container. It was heavy, quite heavy. One of them could have carried it, but they needed to talk. Something seemed off. Before they walked towards the waiting men, it was decided to have a quick conversation amongst themselves. Protección? One of them asked, clearly wary of the situation. One of the Mexican men eyed the duffel bags that two black men were carrying on their shoulders, while their other hands rested on assault rifles, with the clip protruding out of the holster showcasing some extended clips. The black men had other protection besides the firearms they had brought with them. "¿Cómo les va, caballeros, esta noche?" one of the two black men said. He must have been the leader of the two. The Mexican man's partner responded as they brought the tow container forward. "No sabíamos que hablas español, amigo." He kept his gun close but relaxed a bit. He kept one finger on his gun's trigger just in case, with perfect discipline, ready to open fire. "¿De dónde eres?" he asked as he moved near a rock and some bushes, large enough that if he ducked behind it, the two black men would not be able to see him, or shoot at him for that matter. "You Dominican or something? If not, I guess we will need to be cautious of what words that come out of our mouths moving forward." He put his foot on one of the smaller rocks as he did. "Dale!" He looked at his partner, who pushed the tote container forward carefully. The leader of the two black men stepped forward, asserting himself, but making sure to seem more relaxed as he dropped the duffel bag and moved towards them. "Gentlemen, I assure you that this is as far as my Spanish aspiration goes. I do not know shit else." The men began to laugh, and the tense atmosphere, though short-lived, calmed down a bit. None of them were trusting each other just yet. All had brought some very visible, exceptionally large guns, and it was not just the fact that any could open fire at any minute. It was the idea of someone else hiding in the bushes, or even police officers entering the park and arresting them. Even if none of them could pin them to the drugs, they were still carrying weapons that were not registered. That could lead to a prison sentence. The leader of the black men smiled, his shoulders dropping as he put down his guard. "All joking aside, did you bring the product?" he asked. He could see the tote container, but he still wanted to ask that question. It was necessary to get things done right. He knew the Mexicans were sticklers for protocol, and he did not want to show the others that something was afoot. One of the Mexican men laughed. Of course," he exclaimed, his arms outstretched as he pointed towards his partner. The man was tall and has a bulky frame. He hovered above the plastic-looking container. "But," he added, "can you show us the money first? We know how you people like to play games and not have all the money." He could see the other man out of the corner of his eyes. His fingers were twitching as he said it. "I'm just saying," the Mexican man added further, raising his hands. The two men were clearly vexed, and his comment did not do anything to address it or make it better. "What the fuck do you mean, you people?" the leader asked. The other black man had not spoken anything just yet, and that was something the Mexican man noted. "This is not how I envisioned this transaction would go this evening. I am blown right now." The second black man finally spoke as he began to walk forward. "You guys are supposed to be our new suppliers, and you insult us. That is fucked up." He stopped by his partner and asked him for his duffel bag. He winked at him too, but the Mexican man didn't notice that. He even missed the clear, very visible smile on the leader of the two as he handed his slimmer companion the bag. The second black man then walked with the duffel bag towards the Mexicans. He was not smiling. He quickly hands the Mexican the bag and smiles back. The other slim black man walks towards the Mexicans with a serious look on his face. He dropped the duffel bag and opened it up, showing stacks on stacks of US dollars. But it was the leader of the black men that spoke up. "As you can see, we have your money. Now it's your turn. Where's the fucking product?" The Mexican man looked at the duffel bag, then at his partner and nodded. The other Mexican man began to bring the tote container towards them. He looked back towards the duffel bag and then at the leader of the two black men and smiled. "I like this negrito," he said, pointing towards the duffel bag and the money. "Sure, we have the product. Hell, we never leave home without it." "What you saying?" His hand reached towards his companion as he walked next to him carrying the container. The other Mexican man pointed towards the container and instructed him to open the large plastic lid. "Ábrelo, ese," he said, as he saw the leader of the black man and his slimmer partner walk towards them. They were quite close now, and the Mexican man was very aware that he had given up his cover. The Mexican, who was also wearing a bulletproof vest under his clothing, positioned himself close to a large boulder just in case he needed cover from gunfire. However, if someone opened fire, he would have a few seconds to take cover. It was a fool's errand, but it was better to have something than nothing. As the plastic lid opened, they could all see the tightly packed container with all the square blocks of off-white substances. Their plastic wraps had tape around them, and it was clear what it was from the look of the inner product to the wrapping around it. The black leader's companion walked towards the container, his eyes having a questioning look towards the Mexican men. They both nodded, and at the same time, he pulled out a testing kit. Even amateurs evaluated all their bricks, and despite their show of force, it was clear that they at least knew what they were doing. He first inspected one of the bricks up close from the outside before looking towards his partner and giving the thumbs up. Then, as his companion was evaluating the product, the leader added, "Yes, it looks good from here, but I need to evaluate it first. We know how you people like to play games and not sell the right stuff. Need to make sure it's not baking soda under there." No sooner were those words spoken that the facade of the niceties came down and the smiling faces of the Mexican men were replaced with one of scorn. "You made your point, Ese. Now quickly, hurry up and do what you need to do and evaluate the product. Dale." The Mexican man and his partner were getting uneasy. The black men had come with vests and insulted them to their faces more than once. Even when criminals interacted, there was a certain etiquette expected. Clearly, these two black men were trying to stoke the fire and then pour gasoline onto it. The slimmer black man pierced one of the square blocks and placed some of the powdered substance in a tube of solution. He held the tube upright and squeezed it. Next, the man began to shake the tube for about 10 seconds, and the color of the liquid changed to a turquoise color. This confirmed that the substance was cocaine. The Mexican man knew that it would, but he still felt relieved. That relief was short-lived as the man reached into the container once again for another bag. "What are you doing?" he asked him. "Just checking," the slim black man replied. His response came quick, too. The slim black man repeated the same procedure. He pierced it with a blade and checked the substance in a small container. Once again, this one turned turquoise as well. The slimmer man once again gave a thumbs up to his partner and gave him another wink, yet again missed by his Mexican adversaries. "Yo, we good over here. Give these motherfuckers the money." Satisfied with the outcome, the leader walked over with the other duffel bag and put it beside his partner. Both black men carried one of each. The leader of the two black men was still smiling as he handed the money over. He looked over to his partner and he smiled back. The Mexican man put the lid on the container and pushed it towards the other two men. Then they both began counting the money. The black men, though, did not touch the product just yet. The Mexican men would have noticed if they both were not distracted. Usually in moments like these, there was a lot less agitation and a lot less threat from weapons. The relief that both Mexican men got had them thinking that the deal was over. Once they were distracted with counting the money, the slim black man shot the closest Mexican man in the back of the head. His partner grabbed his weapon and started firing in their direction. The lead Mexican man sprinted for cover, taking position behind the large boulder. The Mexican man managed to retreat with the money and some drugs, but he did not get too far before the two black men flanked beside him and began shooting. Bullet after bullet was unloaded, and the Mexican man quickly fell to the ground and died from multiple gunshot wounds. The moonlit night had become a bloodbath, even though it unfolded quickly. The ground was caked in blood and was very visible under the moonlight, red and dark as blood could be. The two black men quickly gathered up the duffel bags. The slimmer one carried them both to the car, while the leader of the two took the tote container and hurried it to the trunk of their Chevy Camaro. However, in their haste, they did not see the 2 bricks of cocaine they had taken out for testing had fallen on the ground, since both parties had turned their headlights off for the ordeal. Attracting unnecessary attention was not needed, and the moonlit night and the parking lot lights were enough. The bricks of cocaine were left behind as the larger container was secured safely in the trunk. The 2 black men sped away from the location, using another exit out
with us. If you had fun or picked up anything from this episode, please assist us by hitting the like, subscribe, and notification buttons. You can also comment and share our content. These small things really help our channel and mean a lot to us. Also, special thanks to our Patreon supporters. You guys are the heartbeat of this channel, and we can't thank you enough for being so generous. If you would like to join our Patreon community, please click on the link below. You can contribute as little as $5 per month. You can get all kinds of perks. You can even buy merchandise of your favorite characters at our shop store. Click on the link provided below. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, remember you are cherished by us. So be kind and know that we consider you as family.